Next question here is a fun one. Tass, you get us started. Which team or player is under the most pressure in the 2025 NBA playoffs?
Well, I think it's Anthony Edwards because of the way that the Lakers are going to guard him. They're going to throw so many guys at him. He's just got to be smart and be able to dissect that defense. I mean, he's sort of under pressure, because Luka got him in the conference finals. Now he's playing him on another team. Now, Anthony Edwards was able to beat Kevin Durant last year, take out the Phoenix Suns. He beat Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets and the champs, and he couldn't overcome Luka. So this is a good storyline. Here you go, man. Do it now. And it is odd to hear him say, I've studied Luka to see how I'm able to dissect those defenses. And he's gotten way better at it. Like we've talked about, Skeets, you keep mentioning how he's just, a little beat slow when it comes to the double teams, but he is reading that second layer, that third layer. I mean, they really finished the season really, really well. And I know basketball, the basketball world is just all Lakers, but this team was freaking awesome. 17-4 to finish those 21 games of the season, and the 4 losses were weird ones. The Obi Toppin game against the Pacers where he's banging home threes in overtime, and then the Wolves laid a dud against the Pelicans, and somehow the Pacers beat them again, and then they gave up a 24-point fourth quarter lead against the Bucks. So some weird ones there.
Those are their 4 losses.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and so he can read doubles, and he said that he's told the guys around him, like he's told Mike Conley, Jaden McDaniels, be ready to shoot often. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker said that Ant told him, this may not be the Ant series. They're going to double me. So you're going to be ready, nah? That's a big question.
Guys, yeah.
It's a big question. If those guys can perform, we shall see.
Okay, big pressure on Anthony Edwards. Where are you going, TK?
I think Anthony Edwards is a good one. I think he's also going to guard LeBron some of the time for the Wolves, which is that's crazy. Like, if he's guarding LeBron and being Luka on the other end, that's awesome. No wonder they had to use 2 guys to be him in practice.
They'll guard Luka, too, I'm sure.
Probably.
They'll go at it.
A little bit. Big series for Ant for sure. I'm going with a team we haven't talked about at all, even though the playoffs are coming. The Thunder have pressure because they actually have expectations this year.
Yeah.
They are still in the playoffs. They haven't played. They won 68 games, and that's the thing. They're the 7th team ever with 68 or more wins. All of those teams made the finals except for the 72-73 Celtics. They lost in Game 7 against the Knicks, who went on to win the championship. So making it to the conference finals, I think, is the bare minimum for OKC. And if they lose in the conference finals, it's almost a disappointment. I don't know if I would go that far. It'll depend on how things play out. But this is a team that's going to have the reigning MVP, most likely. Yep. They don't have a ton of experience, but they have more than they had last year, where it was like, it's just cool that they got the 1 seed. Now they're going through their second time. They've got to really show up. They've got a team that is perfectly built. I think there's pressure on J-Dub and Chet to be the secondary scorer. If Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is taken out of things, I think there's pressure on Dort, Caruso, Joe, Case and Wallace to hit their wide open threes that they're certainly going to get. So this is a Thunder team that kind of feels like they're out of the discussion right now because they dominated the Western Conference. They're probably going to have a pretty easy series in the first round, but the second round is where things really pick up for OKC, and I'm excited to see how they respond.
Yep, I have 3 teams on my list, and the Thunder is one of them, for all the reasons that you just said. They just had one of the greatest regular seasons in NBA history. I mean, they did when you look at point differential. Like, they broke the record. They set the record for most double-digit wins in NBA history, just waxed teams this year. 54 double-digit wins. That is more wins than the second-place Rockets had in totality this season. Wow. Crazy. 68-14, best in franchise history. They likely are going to have the MVP be named at some point here in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, so they have home court advantage all 4 rounds. I'm with you. It's like, it honestly feels like finals or bust to some extent to me with this team. Like, how dominant they've been. And, for the most part, if everybody stays healthy, like their main players. So I got the Thunder. They got some pressure here. I have the Knicks in the East. I think there's some pressure on New York. I mean, they traded 7 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns because they did those moves to like, hey, we're a good team. Let's ramp up here. Let's level up. Now you have really big expectations. They haven't done well against the elite teams in the league. They haven't done well against the teams that play defense in the league this entire regular season. Everybody knows they went 0-10 against the top 3 teams in OKC and then obviously the Cavs and Celtics. So I think they got some pressure here. They obviously got to get by the Pistons first, which is going to be a scrappy first-round series. And then they should be going deeper than they have, just making it to the second round. I saw James Edwards III wrote in The Athletic this week. He said, quote, "People always talk about the it factor. No one ever knows what that actually means, but they know it's missing when they see it. As a collective, it was absent in New York during the regular season. Do you agree with James' take on that? That's that it factor on this New York team, or not? Do you think he's maybe exaggerating a little?
I don't know. I think there probably was more hype around the Knicks last year when they had all the Villanova guys, and there's probably even more hype when they brought in Mikal Bridges prior to the Karl Anthony Towns trade. But it's weird because you're like, what if they go to the second round? That's what the Knicks did last year, and they lost in the second round. And you go and look at who their opponent's probably going to be in the second round. It's the Celtics, who have dominated the Knicks this season, and they made their moves to be a more Celtics-like team to beat the Celtics, and they got blown out every game except for the game the last week of the season when nobody was playing.
Yeah.
So it feels very likely that the Knicks just kind of end up in the same spot they were last year. You're the third best team in the Eastern Conference. That's good, but it's not great.
No.
Yeah, I think Edwards covering the game sees that the Knicks give up leads and then finish teams off, so it just doesn't feel like they have that same oomph. Whether it's called it or whatever, it doesn't feel like that same team last season that was able to scrap it out against the Philadelphia 76ers. Can they win a first-round series against the Pistons, who are a scrappy team? Yeah. It feels that way. And they'll go into a second-round series against, this time, unfortunately, the Boston Celtics.
But they have to put up, even if they lose that, it can't obviously be a sweep, and it can't be dominated by 25, 30 points in every game. Not after making these moves. I'm sorry. There are expectations.
Sure. Yeah, last year against the Indiana Pacers in a very long series in that second round, they lost Jalen Brunson going down in that one. It just felt like that team was without the expectations, so they were young and scrappy, and they felt it. Now, they are a lot of the same guys. But sometimes in these Knicks games, again, they get up double digits. They just don't seal a game when they could. They don't put the foot on the throat. So I think that's kind of the it that James sees. And it's totally true.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens late game against the Pistons.
The final team I had, interested to hear your thoughts as well. The Bucks, I think, are under some pressure here. And that's like the zoom out big picture. Like if they lose here in the first round of the Pacers, and you have Giannis playing this time, and maybe Dame returns, be it games 2, 3, 4, whatever, but you lose to a really good Pacers team, which a lot of us are picking, and a whole bunch of people are picking Indiana. I think that actually watched a lot of Pacers games and know how good they've been over the last couple months. Yep. That's bad, because that's, you do wonder if Giannis starts going, okay, this has been a long time now without a playoff series victory here, and maybe do you start getting a whole trade rumors? So I think there's just pressure from an organizational, we'd like to quiet that as much as possible. Do you agree?
Yeah, they haven't won a playoff series since 2022. Giannis didn't play in the first round last year, didn't finish the first round the year prior to that, so he's at least on my list of guys I'd like to see have a good run to be encouraged for going forward. But the Bucks are kind of in the same spot as the Knicks, where it's like, you're good, but we're not expecting a lot out of you. I think a first-round playoff series win would be awesome for Milwaukee.
Yeah, lots of zone going to be happening against that athletic Pacers team. Giannis and some guys who can run around, and it's boded well. We'll see what happens. That helped them win 8 straight games.
A couple players on my list. We talked, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about Julius Randle. He could really have a nice playoff series or run here. That'd be good for him and his confidence and Wolves fans, because you had the numbers, like his percentages in whatever it was, 15 playoff games for the Knicks. It's 36, 37% from the floor for a big guy, just absolutely brutal. So that's got to be better. We can move on from him. James Harden, he's got to be on this list. I mean, the Clippers, you said, hottest team in the league. He had an unbelievable season. He might make an All-NBA third team here. He might be selected to that. He averaged 23, 9, and 6 in a lot of games for LA. And they're the number 5 seed. They exceeded most pundits' expectations as well. A lot of people thought the Clippers might win 40 games, not 50 like they did. But the knock on Harden is always his postseason.
He's an up-down guy.
Lack of success. Yeah, he's up and down. So he doesn't have to be the number one guy. He does not need to score 30 or 35 a game, but he can't have these 2 for 15s and these turnover-prone games, and obviously maybe being a liability defensively at times. He's just got to be more steady, because he's the one guy where, he's the one superstar guy, I should say, his career playoff scoring average dips to his regular season scoring average, which is, usually pretty rare, because these guys get more minutes and they're superstars for a reason. And then Donovan Mitchell. I think he's under some pressure here. I mean, they're the number 1 seed. He is usually plays really well in big game situations. His numbers go up in the postseason. But, he needs a deep run in him, I think. Like, this guy a lot of times has only made it to the second round. Back with the Jazz, obviously with the Cavs. They need that conference finals run. And then maybe take on Celtics if it's a 1-2 matchup. So I think there's some pressure on him just in terms of going far in his career.
Seems like a forgotten guy right now.
Yeah. Yes.
The 1 seeds right now just feel like they are just waiting until the second round of the playoffs to actually start playing. Mitchell is good. Also on my list of guys who I think need to have a good playoffs are Darius Garland, who was not very good for the Cavs last year, but he's been a clutch monster this season. So he's up there. Franz Wagner, I think, is a big one for the Magic as well. You just like to see him play well against the Celtics. I'm not expecting them to win, but he didn't have a great postseason run last year. And like we said, Paolo was pretty solid. And then Alperen Şengün, I think, needs to be really good for the Rockets. It's their first time around, but he's going to be going up against Draymond Green. Draymond defended him awesome this season in the post, but I think Şengün can be an efficient offensive player for Houston, and they're going to need some half-court offense, so his post-ups are going to be big.